You ever have those days where you stumble across a piece of entertainment and aren't too sure of what to think about it until the very end? This turned out to be the case for me recently as I came across a rather interesting anime that goes by the simple name of Bastard. There's more to the name, but Bastard is the thing you see when you come across this anime. For context, prior to watching it, I didn't know a damn thing about this thing. I had no idea if there was a manga for it or if it was based on some light novel like the vast majority of anime it seems these days. Like my knowledge about the show was more or less non-existent about the source material. The trailer for the anime only made me more curious, and when it finally released, I decided to give it a watch since I was off from work at the time and needed something to watch. All I can say after watching 13 episodes available for human consumption, man, I can't believe an anime showcasing titties, heavy metal references, and a main protagonist who never failed to entertain me with his outrageous personality was allowed to be made in 2022. What surprises me more than anything else is knowing Netflix, a company with a spotty record for quality, greenlit a show like Bastard. So, what makes this anime worth watching? Well, that's very easy to explain, right? The first thing we're going to start with is the main character, Dark Snyder. If you came looking for an incredibly deep character in this, epic dark fantasy setting, you came to the wrong place, partner. On the flip side, if you came looking for a fun time with a protagonist who does whatever he wants with no fucks given, you're in the right place. He's not going to be everyone's cup of tea. There are times when he can be cringe or eye rolling, but his entertainment value can't be matched with his jokes, with his dialogue, with his behavior, and the way he carries himself among the other characters in the show. Plus, he's a goddamn wizard with unbelievably powerful magic at his disposal. All in all, you can't go wrong with Dark Snyder. The man makes this show like it takes it to another level, honest to God. Now, he is far from the only character introduced in the show, as there are a number of them who receive some attention throughout the first season. So, the big ones are the plethora of female characters that are rather interesting, to say the least. For the sake of being fair, are they the most deep and compelling characters ever? Not really. They're mostly eye candy at the end of the day, but it would be unfair to say all of them are shallow puddles. A couple of them have some level of depth as characters. That would mostly be Yoko, who is the main girl of Dark Snyder's harem. It is a harem, by the way. If you watch it, you will quickly realize it is a harem. And Arshes, don't know how to pronounce it. All I know is the hot Dark Elf general introduced later on in the season. Other than those two, I can't sit here and say the others are fleshed out characters at the end of the day. Are all of them extremely hot ass girls? Very much so. Are some of them capable fighters, in a battle? Yeah, a few of them can hold their almost all of them can hold their own, with the exception of Yoko. But she can kind of keep Dark Snyder in check. That's something of an interesting dynamic. But what I'm saying is, I can live with the girls being on the flatter side as characters, while being given more depth in the art department, if you get what I'm saying. After all, this anime is based on a manga from over 30 years ago. Times were different back then, and I can appreciate the anime retaining that spirit in the face of 2022 and the mediocrity we've come to accept. Actually, speaking of being a product of its time, I think it's time to talk about the references and the clear inspiration for Bastard. Anyone with any knowledge of heavy metal is going to love this anime. I may not be the biggest fan of metal in the world or the most knowledgeable, but I was able to pick up on a number of things in the anime. The name of the kingdom in the dark fantasy setting pretty much ripping off the name of Metallica. Individuals wearing very interesting makeup that, when you see the face of them, you'd go, I know where that comes from. You don't even need to be the most the hardest, hardcore metal fan. You will recognize that face paint in any, the moment you see it. Meanwhile, the music used throughout the anime are all, I think, rock or heavy metal, right? Nothing light. This was the first anime I think I ever sat through not only the opening, but even the ending song, right? I sat through the opening and the ending completely the whole way through, right? So, everything about this felt like it was made by somebody who was a huge fan of metal. That is probably the case, as I don't know much about the creator, so feel free to let me know down in the comment section. Anyway, Bastard has a lot going for it. A protagonist who does whatever the fuck he wants, a group of hot-ass warriors and mages for his harem, and tons of references as well as great music throughout. As you can kind of tell, there is one thing I haven't talked about too much, and that's regarding the story. Right? There's not a ton of information available even after 13 episodes because it hasn't been, how can we say, at the forefront of the story, right? Basically, Earth was wrecked, in this giant war between, this goddess of death, if I remember correctly, and a knight, maybe dragon knight, don't remember the name entirely, right? They fought for a while, left the Earth a mess, and magic came into existence. That's where the dark fantasy setting comes into play. So, other than that, we don't get a ton more information besides that. So again, the big question is, would I recommend this anime to people to sit down and enjoy it? If you want a fun anime that won't waste your time and will make you laugh and and you enjoy some very tasteful artwork, I would say yes. On the other hand, I have to warn you. I would recommend against watching this with your parents in the room, or if you have children. That's all I'm going to say on the matter, because there are definitely some interesting scenes that got a chuckle out of me, to say the least. But yeah, I enjoyed my time watching Bastard, and it means I'm definitely looking forward to seeing the second part that is releasing later this year, I believe, on Netflix. So that wraps up my thoughts on this particular anime. I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and if you did, please leave a comment or like. It helps out the channel grow. Guys, it's been kind of weird seeing some of the traffic on like on one of my first video, right? So all of this helps out, and hopefully I will be seeing you guys next time.